Chairman is not here this evening due to another commitment. I'm the Vice Chair, Jeanette Burr, so we'll begin the meeting, the school committee budget meeting by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, which is out back. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, Tom.
Good evening.
Just getting going.
Yep, sorry.
Oh, the roads are tough.
Yes, they are.
Let's see, do we have any adjustments to the agenda?
There are none, and everybody has received the budget information for Article 6.
Okay, so, under the new business, we will review the articles on Article 6.
Okay, could we like to start the meetings with our Acton School Department FY19 budget norms. And there are 6 strive statements in front of you. I'll review those quickly with you. We strive to work together as a community that values the education our children receive at AES. We strive to be fully present at the meetings by becoming familiar with materials and by being attentive. We will strive to invite and welcome the contributions of every member and listen to each other. We will strive to be involved to our individual level of comfort. Each of us is responsible for airing disagreements during the meeting rather than carrying those disagreements outside the meeting. We will strive to operate in a collegial and friendly atmosphere, and we will strive to be responsible for examining all points of view. I can collect those from you if you just want to start sending them back towards Jeanette. I'd like to just go over those quickly at the beginning of each meeting. Kevin is with us over here on the laptop. I'm just going to move him for a moment. For anybody that's at the other end of the table, particularly Tom, if Kevin's got a question or you want to make sure he's heard, you might want to use, I'm using my presentation voice right now.
I've got one of those.
I noticed that. So you and I will go back and forth so Kevin can hear us. How's that sound?
That's fine.
All right. The other thing I'd like to do as well is just, I would like to just quickly go over the format of the information that you've been given so that we're all on the same page, literally, when we talk about the Article 6 budget. So, if you would, Kim, thank you very much. Sent out a 5-page document that looks like this. I'd like you to take a look at that in your budget book. And if you look to the far left, you'll actually see 2 sets of numbers that are one-off. It goes 145 and then 144, one column to the right that's in bold. So I'm going to be referring to line A. So line A going down vertically would be 140 on page 1 of 5, 144, 145, 146. So if you have a question you want to go back and revisit, that will be the number that we use is from the line number starting with 144, because this has been pulled from an entire budget. Okay, so we're starting really with Article 6 at line item number 144. And working left to right, you'll have the account number. That's just the cost center. The account description is our next, is C, and D going left to right is what we are living in this school year that's been approved for this year. That's the current year that we're living in. And then the proposed number for FY19, which is next fiscal year beginning July 1. Any increase or decrease in number value, that would be in dollars. And then the percent change would be G. And then in H, there's a nice narrative, and between Kim and I and Francine and Mike, I think we can all explain in any detail you need to any more information that might not be in that narrative for your help. Okay? And then, of course, the article description is all Article 6 tonight. And I think you're going to find that when we hit certain places around medical benefits and around main retirement, those are kind of fixed numbers, and you're going to see them through this whole process. It's the same for the nurse as it is for me, as it is for Kim. It's a cost, and sometimes as we go through the entire budget, we'll see these numbers come up again and again and again. So we'll probably take a little more time at the front end tonight to explain, for instance, main retirement. But then when we see this again in other articles that are based on employees, it's fixed all the way through, if that's helpful, okay? Does that sound all right? The process last year worked really well, where I kind of led us through. Each one of them gave enough time for comment, kind of checked with everybody, so we literally went through every line of our budget starting, and that's what we'll do tonight if I don't hear any objections. Okay? Very good. Then I'm on number 144. And this is professional salaries of the social worker going left to right. We have a percent increase of about $2,000 with a 4%. And that's the salary for our one full-time social worker per teacher's contract.
Could you explain that just a little bit more? As I remembered, it was like 2% the first year, 2% the second year, and 2.5% the third year, or something like that. As far as cost of living adjustment, is that what this is?
We don't do cost of living
Well,
adjustment.
it's
It's just
And I don't
negotiated.
think
in that
negotiated
sense.
that way.
Yeah.
But it's based on the fact that there's a little bit of inflation, or a great deal of inflation, and this is supposedly to help that. Is that correct?
No, last year was a 2%.
Right.
I actually will have to look it up in the collective.
I thought it was like
bargaining.
2.5, or something like
Something
that.
We'd have to look at it.
I'd have to look.
But
at
that's
it,
what
'cause I
this
wanna-
is.
Yes.
Okay, okay. I guess I just have a problem since most people aren't getting any sort of a salary increase based on whatever the
I hear there's gonna
rate
be
of
lots of
inflation.
bonuses and
Oh, let me tell you,
increases.
wait
And
until we get
The
to.
minimum wage going up, I mean,
Yes.
there's a lot of people getting
So
more
let me,
money.
That's-
For sure.
Let
That's
me ask the
correct.
group, moving from 144 to 145, are there any other questions other than the particular question about that position?
One.
Yes,
Maybe it's
please.
just a comment.
Yes.
It's sounding to me like this 4.12%, or whatever figure goes in that block, is based on a contract and not performance.
That's correct. Correct. It's collective
In
bargaining.
general, is
agreement.
that how schools
That's
schools
how-
operate?
That's
not
correct.
performance?
That's a great question. Well, performance
Public
is,
employees, that's how it works.
performance is clearly part of somebody's employee profile, the personnel record here at Acton Elementary School, as far as how well
Yeah.
they do as any staff member, whether that be from custodian, maintenance, all the way through to myself. I'm evaluated by the school committee with feedback from the staff. So there is an evaluation process that's actually rather comprehensive, and that's true of most schools. This particular piece that you're talking about, performance-based pay, is really not part of public education. It really, you hear different things about teachers doing well, they might be able to get a bump in some communities and in some states, but in general, all that I know of collective bargaining is a pretty set pay scale for people, and they're generally 3 years in length, no more.
So there should be a contract someplace that has this 4% in it?
That's correct. It would give the scale, the number, basically it's based on the person's experience and their degree level, and then there's a scale from there, number of years of service.
Okay.
Yep, and it's on our website. if
But
you
that
take a look at it.
assumes that everybody gets a salary increase
Well, the
for
thing,
each year negotiated,
the
is
thing
that
about the
correct?
4% is
Yeah.
it might be in the contract as a 2%, but by moving a pay scale, they have steps.
Step.
It'll make it bigger, it'll make it look like 4 instead of 2.
Well, and they're getting another 2 every year of the 3.
Right, but they're also moving a step at the same time.
They're also moving a step.
Yeah, and it sounds like Dr. Williams might have taken a peek at our collective bargaining, which is great, because it is on the website. Just go to our new website, go under resources. Under resources, you'll find, I think it's documents and forms, and you'll find it in there, on the
But
central office.
I guess the reason I'm even bringing this up now is the fact that we're going to have a lot of inflation in the country this year. And it's going to probably, the cost of living allowances are going to be going up for everybody, but most employers now, not school board I'm talking about, but most employers are either giving this kind of a raise to people, just automatically 3% or 2% or whatever, or cutting back on benefits. But to do both is a luxury in the year 2018, and I'm going to ask questions about it each time it comes up. I guess my only question at this point in time is, as far as next year, will it go up then another 2 or 2.5% automatically then, is that
It
correct?
hasn't, next year.
No,
You
for,
wanna go get the
No,
information?
here's
No,
what I
that-
recommend.
no,
I want
I-
to make sure that we're fairly efficient tonight.
I don't need
Right,
the
right.
specifics tonight. I just want to
Right.
make sure that my memory serves me correctly. That we're talking about 2% the first year, I thought 2% the second year, and like just 2.5% the third year.
Information
No, I
out
don't
there.
think so.
But that's
let
okay.
me-
That's all right.
Let
That's
me,
all-
those are just one of those things that I will make
Let's
sure
get it
that.
addressed
we-
at the
Okay,
front end.
we-
I'd like to know about it, though, if
Yeah.
I could, please, because I just don't think that in this stage of the game, the town is trying desperately this year, and I agree with the statements made about bonuses and things like that. Wait until this committee gets to the administration of the town government, because we're going to be have the same attitude, that many people, taxpayers are having a difficult time with this. Our taxes went up this year, And they're declaring, at least the Board of Selectmen stated last week, that they want a 0 increase in the town budget. Whether or not they're going to be able to affect that, I'm not sure. But it's going to be a challenge, and I'm trying to figure out in the negotiations on the town side if they are looking at this and saying that, look, teachers are special people, they should be getting very good salaries. I believe that Finland has the best students in the world because teachers are the most highly honored members of society and get paid accordingly. But the fact is that in this instance here, Acton can't afford this type of automatic stuff.
Well, this is a contract.
This is
So
a
we're talking
I'm
about
talking
the
about when
people
they're,
that run the
when they're
town, they're not under
negotiating,
contract.
when they're
Yeah,
negotiating is what
I
I'm talking about, because these people are gonna be the negotiators.
Yeah, but
So
that's
the
not,
time, the
that's
time
not
and the
right
place
now.
for, the time and the place for that would be when the contract opens. And I heard this last year, I'm hearing it again, and I'll have to say that being good fiscal stewards of the town's money is exactly where the school committee sits, also balancing that against the quality education of kids. I do want to make a comment so we can move on. Every time you see an employee, you're going to see a fixed cost of a salary and benefits. And what I'd like to do is, I think I heard you say you're gonna bring it up every time you see it.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
we got
I
38
will,
some odd
I will
employees.
bring it up, but I won't
Okay.
belabor the issue.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Just be-
We need to keep,
Right, because I just want to move, I want to move us along.
Understand,
that ti-
understand, but
to
at the
address
same,
that later.
at the
Okay.
same time, I want to make that statement.
Okay.
And I'm going to bring it up.
Okay, oh, can I answer? Yes. I did, Mike just gave me the chart.
Okay.
The teachers, the first year of the contract, the base increased by 0.75. The second year, the base increased 1.75, and this upcoming up year, the base will increase 2.0. Thank you.
See, I didn't want to hear 2, 2, and 2 when that wasn't.
I knew that
That's,
wasn't right.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you for thank you for the specifics. I
Oh.
appreciate it.
There's
Yeah,
more
copy for everybody.
Okay.
Sir?
Just a ribbon.
Oh.
There's a copy for everybody.
So Kim, when we get into professional benefits, which is the second line, which is 145, in this particular case, it went down.
It went down because our state unemployment tax that we pay Maine MSMA went down to 2.55. It was up at like 3.05 from
Okay.
last. So it's gone down and up a little bit.
And will we see that in every one of them moving forward?
Yes.
Very good.
And that's
Thank you for
because
that.
of the state unemployment tax?
Yes.
Okay.
The group insurance, if you start on 146 and go left to right, professional group insurance, you'll see there that we budgeted in G a 9.12% to cover medical for 12 months for, in this case, the social worker. That's a cost we're unsure of at this time. But we put in a placeholder of 9%.
10%.
It says 9.12 on here.
I
You
know,
call it
but
10%.
but the other part of it is the employees, their
contribution to
portion
it,
has
to get us
also
to 10%,
increased, so
right.
that's where it mixes, so.
So when do we usually know our real cost of our benefit? It's usually not the first night we talk about budgets.
No, and usually it's more like the end of February,
Okay.
1st of March, before I actually get a good number from Anthem.
And when we know that this is a spreadsheet, we plug in the number and it just changes throughout the entire
Now,
document.
is this professional liability insurance
No,
or is
this
this
is
health?
medical, this
Medical
is full
health.
family,
$20,000 for one
full
person?
family.
For full
medical.
family.
Now, let me just ask another question. Is the only option in negotiations going to be individual group plans, which are the most expensive plans available in the United States?
Did you bring, Anthem is
I
an
do.
HMO, and there's 4 plans to choose from. The employees have actually 4 choices.
And is this the most expensive of the 4?
Uh,
It should
you'd
be,
have to
it should be by
look.
definition
No.
if it's an individual
No,
group.
it's not, actually. The ones that are more expensive, the employee picks up the difference.
Ah,
Okay, so if they want the more expensive plan where they don't have to choose a doctor, like the ones that MEA Choice, they have to choose a doctor, they're part of an
Right.
HMO. Those are less expensive. If they went with the standard plan, the standard plan doesn't force you to pick a doctor. You can go to any doctor
Right.
you want, but it's a lot more money. And the way it's set up is if an employee wants a standard plan, they pick up the difference, so that way the school only pays the same amount as if they were on an MEA choice plan.
So this is an Anthem HMO.
The book is right there.
That's right here.
Okay.
I brought
I
one
just
down.
Oh,
have
thank
one
you.
question.
You know, you can have that if you want it.
All
Oh,
the
is it?
employees that are getting health insurance, whether it's a nurse or you,
Social worker,
anybody,
right.
is that just one plan, or are you all part of a bigger,
We're all-
analogous to a
Right.
union?
We're, Anthem, this plan is part of all teachers
Teachers.
in pretty much all the
State of
state of
Maine.
Maine.
Okay, so there is volume,
There's
Oh,
a
sure.
lot of
There's
Buy
bargaining
you-
power there, yeah.
a few dollars.
But
But they
if
don't
I
use it.
understand it correctly,
Okay.
this group, the groups are looked at individually from a point of view of fiscal solidarity.
Right, when they look at the renewal, in the past, what they've done is they basically have 4 different slots.
Mhm.
So, and a lot does depend on what your loss ratios were.
Right,
So if for some reason we've used our insurance a lot or more than our premiums, then we're getting pushed up into a higher slot. So we had for like 2 years, the first 2 years, we didn't even have an increase. Last year, we had a 9.65% increase because we had, quite a few, we had more claims than we did premium paid in. And then
and that
this
was
year-
based on how many people in that particular group? This
I mean, this-
particular group is
it's-
how many people?
All our-
Approximately?
well,
40, 50?
No more than that.
No more than that.
Because we have 51 employees, plus their spouses and their families, and then there's a retired section, so some retired teachers that are still on our plan.
Around 80 to 100 would be fair, Shay?
Yeah.
Just guessing. We
Yeah,
don't,
about 100.
not counting the number of perhaps
Kids.
dependents in the family, right?
Right.
So probably 100 or less would be a
100
good
or
number to use for this conversation.
And retirees are able
Until
to get?
65,
Until 65?
right? That's when Medicare would kick
And
in.
then, okay.
So that's our individual, that's kind of our group here for our coverage, but we're part of a greater group under the
Understand,
state.
but they still go ahead and rate you based on
On
your
it.
group.
Correct.
Right.
Okay, so it's really a small group individual plan, which I said again is the most expensive
not-
that's available
no, not that.
in the
No.
United States. Well, excuse me,
No.
go ahead. Well, you only have 45 people that's on which the rates are being based. And then this year, it's going to be even worse because the stock market's not going to do well at the end, and all of the insurance companies are going to be looking for ways to be able to make their money. They're going to have to go back to higher
You shouldn't make
rates.
blanket statements like that. We
Well,
don't
I'm
know
sorry.
what the
I'm sorry.
stock market's gonna do.
Well, I'm just saying, it's not just the stock market, it's their investments.
Tyrone, how are you?
I'm fine, and I apologize for
Not-
being late.
not a
I'll
problem.
bring a note next time.
Yes, sir, I please have that signed. And
Blame the ice.
So,
ice and power are two good reasons.
so
Well, you either
basically,
have to
it's
go
an individual plan
this
as far
meeting
as
or
having
board
to
select.
pay if they
They-
have used
they
it a
cap
lot.
it. They'll cap it,
Well, being
you
as he
know,
wasn't there.
yeah, you could have a bad year, you could have a really good year, and like I said, they do just have you in sections, so, I mean, it's, certain group will go in a certain section, it's more based on the whole group in totality.
And the other question I had about this was, in the present plan, is there any co-pays or is there
Yes.
any deductibles?
I gave you the book.
Okay, I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, and the book is very detailed on what, what you have to pay for co-pays, what you have to pay for deductibles, and for specific services, we try to avoid the ER, because that's the highest deductible, and et cetera. So, I mean, the book is pretty detailed about, and that's why, like I said.
And the deductible is about how much?
It depends on,
The plan.
Sir.
The
it depends
plan.
on the service.
The service?
Yep.
I gotta ask, do you always get into this
No.
No,
minutial level
no,
of?
That's
No,
why.
No.
Can we-
no.
no,
that's
I'm,
why
I'm,
we
I'm
have-
doing
hoping-
this.
I guess I'm not sure it's productive.
No, we
No,
don't,
and I own some of this, I'll move us along, but I didn't
Yeah.
want to butt in every time.
I'm not trying to be
I'm not suggesting
an
anything.
anchor.
No, I
I
understand.
think we
I'm-
just need to look
I
at things
just
at a
think
higher level
I get
right
so
now.
many questions from so many people about this
Sure.
kind of stuff that I'm glad it's on television because I need to have explanations to give to people and I keep telling them to watch it on TV.
But fortunately, the answer to this question with the first employee is the same answer for all the other employees.
I
when we
understand
see them.
that.
So maybe we are front-loading a bit, which I think is okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So the next one is 147. That would be our retirement. That's what MPERS is for teachers, moving left to right. It looks like there was a small increase of $82 or 4.1% in the public employees retirement system.
Right, and that's based on the increase in salary.
Okay. 148, and again, if you have any questions, just make sure you chime in, because I'll just kind of go at this pace. 148 is travel and conferences associated with this cost center at $500 last year. It's $500 this year, part of the professional development offered for that position. Okay. Social worker supplies is 149, working left to right. It was $500 last year, $500 this year, same 0% increase overall. Looking at line item 150, books and periodicals, left to right was 250 this year, projected to be 250 next year, or a 0% increase. Books and periodicals, any questions? Okay, excellent. Dues and fees is number 151 at $175. It's $175 projected, or a 0% increase for the American Counselor Association of Maine. As we hit 152, we'll see the same under programs, $1,000 last year, $1,000 this year for positive behavioral interventions and supports. Just a quick note on that, in case we see it again anywhere else. Anybody who's a parent in the room has probably heard of this. It's part of a program that we're using here at school for expectations of our children. We teach behavior, we teach the expectations, and we hold them to it. They're really coming along great with this. It's really affected overall the positive culture and climate of the school. And we are almost at full implementation. It's a long process, and this school's done quite well with it. I'm very proud of everybody, so.
Are these individual, or is this class?
Can be individual or school-wide. It goes from the individual to the classroom to school-wide. It's all, to answer your
All.
question.
But it's
Okay.
also on the bus, in the cafeteria,
Yes.
on the playground.
Excellent.
Everywhere.
Excellent.
Okay, so that, thanks for,
What's the,
excuse me?
what's the 1,000 cover for this?
Pat
Just
Road, maybe?
a lot of, no, it's more like our, like, all the posters you see
Yeah.
in the hallway.
Or some incentives.
Incentives that we have for the kids. Basically, it's just anything to help us support that
That
program to keep it going.
Kevin, I know I'm kind of sitting behind you, but I know you can hear me. Right, it's also for like some of her individual lunch groups where she's working with kids, where she's trying to get them from A to B, and they've been doing a good job, so it might mean a pizza lunch down in her office kind of thing.
So it's resources for the implementation.
Thank you, well said. Yep. Okay, so that would have been, help me with what number that was.
152.
152, we're on 153, professional salaries for the nurse. A difference of $721, or overall 1% increase in the nurse's salary for next year.
Okay, just explain it, that's all.
Explain,
I guess my question
Position?
was, if I understood it correctly, at one time it was a part-time position, and then it was increased to a full-time position. And,
It was 4 days a week, we made it 5 days a week, because
Oh.
we can't have the front office taking care of the nursing function, that's not a good
She was
to do.
passing
Sure.
out medications, sometimes inhalers and whatnot, and it couldn't be left to the front office to do that. And that's
does
why
this
we-
person teach any health
Will be.
classes?
Well, we
She-
plan on it.
she's an
Okay.
integral part of our developing of our health curriculum, and we'll handle the pieces of that curriculum as it comes together around health and wellness,
Health and
the medical
wellness.
side, along with the social worker and along with our phys ed teacher. Those are the three primary teachers outside of the regular classroom teacher. And we have a scope and sequence document already in play, and we're hoping to pilot our pre-K through grade 8 health curriculum. Probably now, I had to back it up a little bit, we're probably looking at March, April. My hope was February, but I think reality is going to be the last trimester of the school year.
So she will be participating in those?
Yes.
Okay, did she do any other nutrition or sex education or anything of that
That would be
sort?
part of the health curriculum that
That
we're
would be part of
implementing.
the curriculum.
And there was now where there were some questions earlier that came to me in writing, I thought I would answer this. The question was, is an RN necessary under law for a school? My answer to that question via the email is, it is for a school department, a registered nurse, because we're the only school within the school department. Our registered nurse happens to be in this school. So there was a
Mhm.
question about that, I just wanted to make sure we got the answer on the table.
Okay.
Okay, nurse, so when we get into professional benefits, so 154, 55, 56, those three, if I could take those in aggregate, because that's the fixed piece that I talked about earlier. If you just want to peruse those quickly, and if you have any questions, Kim would probably be the best person to ask, because that's pretty detailed information.
And again, that 9% is just sort of a guesstimate
It's a
right now until you
placeholder.
get something back.
Right.
Right. So we'll go to 157, which is contracted services, and I know this is with our new provider for next year, correct?
Yes,
Yeah, that's what I
yes.
thought. That's why I didn't ask any questions.
Right.
So I just signed off on every school, it's 150% from $400 to $1,000, so it's an increase of $600. We've always had $400 in our budget for a local physician we have to have a doctor on board at the school who the nurse gets her standing orders from, and for other reasons. And I guess and I apologize, I don't know the local doctor's name, but he's been in play for a long time, and this
Dr.
gentleman's
Wallingford.
retiring.
Yeah,
And
Dr.
he's backing away from and not having contracts with schools. So Kim, I'll give it to Kim, did a nice job of kind of looking around at what Sanford's doing in some other schools, and we have a physician's assistant who signed on with us from a local practice, came in a little higher than the 1,000 that we got to, but we were able to get it to $1,000 for the size of our school, seemed reasonable. So next year, our consulting physician's assistant will be somebody new from a practice, and basically it'll be $1,000 instead of the $400 that we budgeted for years. So that's an increase that's this year, and I assume it's just gonna stay there or increase over time at a reasonable rate with the medical industry. We'll see how that
So
goes.
it's going to be the nurse practitioner who's going to?
Is that
Yes.
correct? It's a nurse
Yes, there's a
practitioner?
doctor in York, okay, so it's covered by York
Mm.
Hospital, and there is a doctor, but the nurse practitioner is our contact.
Right, I understand the nurse
Assigned to us,
practitioner,
yeah.
right.
Tom?
Yeah.
There's a part, okay, I think that answered the question, it's a part-time position. This isn't somebody who's gonna be here all the time.
No, and
No,
this is,
a
they're coming to visit.
contract.
resource
It's just a
How,
subcontractor.
how often have we
Yeah.
used the
By law.
doctor in the last 3 years?
It's not something we use a lot.
No.
It's more for standing orders, the kids that have specific medical things that have to have standing orders done. Sometimes she had some that were more like health-related, CDC type questions and stuff like that, but not very often. That's why we don't have it. This contract doesn't cover for physicals or.
Any hands-on sort
We
of
don't
thing?
do any of it, yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Is it
contracts they
cheaper
have
to do it by the hour?
You know,
No.
$100 an hour? $100?
It's more,
a-
it's just a general, so
Yeah,
she
do
can
that.
make a phone call if she ever needs to, or, just, and again, to be able to send the standing orders and that type of stuff. So it could be as
Sounds
kids
like a
come in or
retained
I
kids
have
go
a
out.
question.
Yes, go ahead.
Somebody
One more.
mentioned a physician's assistant,
Mhm.
nurse practitioner. There's a
Yes.
difference. Which is coming, nurse practitioner or physician's assistant?
PA, I think, isn't that what we said?
It's a PA or a NP?
NP.
And it's a
Is it-
nurse practitioner.
Okay,
Right,
they-
okay,
Yeah, they're
that's-
better,
Coming to
they're
visit
they're
Friday.
better,
Yeah.
they're better
Right.
educated
Okay, thank
anyway,
you.
that's
Yeah.
good.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I'm gonna turn the page. We're on line 158. Line 158, within the nurses area, costs on our nurses' repairs and maintenance. It's $100 this year, $100 next year, or a 0% increase.
What does that mean?
Some of her equipment,
Yeah, the hearing machine, sometimes we have to get that cleaned and tested.
the
Recalibrated,
eyes,
Yeah.
the eye.
yeah,
She was doing
Maybe
some eye exams
calibrate.
today.
things that they have.
Okay.
So if you actually take a look at 159, 60, and 61, they're all 0%. They're flat from last year. And if you want to peruse the narratives for anything you might want more information on, we can supply it to you. But because those are all year to year, they haven't changed, I thought we'd just take those as a group. 159, 60, and 61. And
Don't
then
have any questions about
Okay.
any of those.
we shift at 162 to the professional coach. We have a salary there that's up next year of about $1,800 or a 2.75% increase overall. And then 163, 4, and 5 are those fixed costs we've discussed so far.
Question,
Yes?
in a united or consolidated school district, would this position be one that would rotate through the schools in the consolidation?
Different
Or would it
practices.
be stationed at one particular school?
I think it depends. It's a great question. I think the answer is yes. I think it's both, to be honest with you. I think it's
Okay.
I've worked in a district where there was a literacy and a math coach, for K through 5, and then a literacy and a math coach 6 through 12, and they moved into the buildings which was served. There was one middle school, one high school, so you can see where that worked. I've seen in other districts where there's a person per building, depending on the size of the district.
In
Here,
some-
go ahead, Kevin,
in
yes.
some- In some schools, there's more. So, for example, I'm in a school these past 2 days, an elementary school, and they have 3 instructional coaches for one school.
What exactly do these coaches do?
So it ranges from across the multiple schools to multiple in one school.
They
She's
teach
asking
the
what they do.
teachers
They
how
teach
to,
the
how to
teachers.
be better teachers.
Is this
I
in
mean,
lieu of
what else do
sending
you wanna
teachers out
say,
to conferences
Francine?
during the year?
No.
Sure.
As the instructional coach, if there's new curriculum is being implemented, the teachers are not quite sure about it, I work with those teachers to be able to make adjustments within their classroom so that they can deliver the materials, meet students' needs, and differentiate as expected. Sometimes there are student groups as students move through in their classes that have some additional needs to differentiation. So I work with the teachers to deliver that. I'm co-teaching with our social studies teacher right now while she's doing some project-based activities with her 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. A lot of the times it's just additional support so that the teacher can cover everything that needs to be covered in the amount of time that's allowed, and there's an extra pair of hands there that can do that. I also find professional development opportunities for teachers as they need it, and when there's a content area where there might not be enough materials available that we have, I will go looking for the things we can use to supplement that, and then I work with the teachers to incorporate those supplements or supplemental materials into our existing curriculum to make sure that the students are receiving the best coverage of the content possible.
Does the curriculum frequently change every year throughout the year?
There are changes to the curriculum that do have to be made. A lot of the time it's because students' needs are different. We have some who are really good performers, and so we need to make sure we have challenging content that's within their grade level to make sure that they are working at their potential. And we have some students who maybe are moving along at a little bit of a slower pace, so we have to make sure that we have the proper supports in place there while we're meeting all the grade level expectations
So
at the
would
same
this be
time.
one-on-one usually, or do you have a group of teachers sometimes that you would be talking with?
I'm working with multiple teachers. I make sure I go to the new teachers first because as they're getting established in their classroom practices, it's important that they have that additional time. I meet one-on-one at least twice a month with the teachers who I'm working with. My newer teachers, I pop in on a daily basis to see if there's anything that they need me to do or any help with anything just in that moment also. So it's really as the teachers need me, but I make sure that I'm available for them.
So it is primarily one-on-one, not a classroom of teachers?
I'm
where
working
you're-
mostly with the teachers themselves, and when they say,
Gotcha.
can you come in and help me with this, then I go in and I help with
But
that.
we also have cohorts.
And we do have the
we
cohorts that offer the
cohort,
grade
you
level
know,
supports,
the different
too.
grade levels, and she can run those meetings. But I just want to say, you know, there's a lot of things, programs that the school committee implemented 2-3 years ago, and even this year. Lots of new material, new science program, different math programs. It does seem to be like we don't have one steady thing. Hopefully now it'll be a little calmer.
Clearing out, yeah.
But we threw up like every subject at all our teachers, and when we got Francine,
Yeah.
she helped them muddle through it. And like we found out like a program in science wasn't working, say in the 3rd grade, they needed something else. So, you know, we said, okay, what other program is out there that'll help the 3rd graders, you know, so.
But I want to make sure that I recognize Mr. Gorber. I want one more thing, and then we'll move on. There's another huge piece of this we haven't talked about, and that is helping teachers teach better to improve their professional practice. And there was a huge shift in this state moving towards more of a performance-based or proficiency-based learning environment, where at the high school level, they're on the hook to prove they know what they know to get a high school diploma. Well, that starts all the way back in pre-K. So we're responsible pre-K through 8 for that. So with that shift in professional practice for teachers to kind of move the needle on achievement and teach a different way to standards versus a curriculum that they may have had for years and years, that's a mega shift. And a good part of what Francine's responsible for is helping teachers improve that professional practice. And we spend a lot of time in our cohorts and on Wednesday afternoons working on that. I just wanted to make sure I said that because that is a
No,
very
I
big
never
piece.
had any experience, didn't
You
know this
bet.
position existed.
You bet, that's why I wanted to explain it.
I'd be stupid
Tom.
and ask.
That's not a stupid question.
We should take advantage of an opportunity here. We have a number of new positions here or created within the last few years. And I think it would be very helpful while we have this exposure behind me here, if when we discuss each of these, you give us a little bit of information about what kind of feedback you're getting, whether you, et cetera, just to expose everybody,
Sure.
because we've heard this last year.
There's
We kinda
not a
know what
lot of
some us do.
positions, there's one position that's new.
Well, the social worker is new.
That's not new, it used to be guidance.
Two, right, I
There
know
were
that,
two
I know
positions
that,
put
but
into
the
one.
point is, you made it, right, but you made a change, and you made a change for, I think, what I thought was a good reason,
Right.
it sounded good.
Right.
I suspect it's worked out well, but I think with, I'm just saying for information.
No, I
because it
appreciate that,
seems-
yeah. It's really a shift in resources too, is
Right,
what I heard you
right.
say, Tom, right. Okay.
Advertising, that's all.
So instructional costs, so now we're into 166 with the supplies.
A question then.
Yes,
On 164,
164.
0.00 for the instructional coach. Why is that when it's 9.12 in previous two positions?
Two
Be a
different
math
things.
error
She
on my
probably
part.
opted not to
I'm
have
sorry?
insurance.
It's probably a math error on my part.
Okay, well, that's all right then.
No, but I've said that one.
Sick
It's,
next year.
it's,
Yeah, no, don't be
Yeah.
sick.
okay.
Is the benefit being taken?
Yeah.
Okay, so then we need to put that in.
Yeah, I just grabbed it
Okay,
wrong
would you,
one.
now this is
I probably
good
clicked the
because
wrong
this is
D.
part of the going
Right,
through each
right.
line.
And this is what we do.
So
yeah.
Kim, I'm gonna ask you,
Oh, I wrote on there.
thank you, as I'm not gonna keep that kind of note, okay, thank you very much, good catch. Okay, so now we're back to 167. Books and periodicals at 200, it's 200 this year, 200 next year, a 0% increase. 168, travel and conferences, it was 2,000, this next year it'll be 500 or a $1,500 decrease, or 75% of that decrease. Dues and fees.
And the reason for the drastic cut?
I'll let you two
Last year I
speak to that.
attended
National?
Quite a few.
it was a national instructional coaching conference and institute in Kansas,
I see.
and I don't need to go again.
Right.
One
Right,
one
so-
summer in Kansas is enough for me.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
Dues and fees looks like, now when you see the percentage in a funny div/o exclamation mark, that means it's a
Divided
new
by
item.
zeros, yes.
Yeah.
Because it's new.
Because it's nothing to compare it to, so dues and fees came in this next fiscal year for the position. So this next one is, it's called professional salaries number 170, but it's actually the cost for 5 professional days for 20 teachers at a daily rate. And you can see that that's almost $20,000 and we've removed that overall. So it's a decrease of almost $20,000 in the overall budget, or a decrease of 100%. And I think more for the school committee that put that in years ago, I'm sure, to get us up and running. The reason why I feel comfortable that we can remove that amount of money from this budget, and it's around professional development, is we have money from some outside grants to support the same work, so we don't have to look to the local, okay? We're using our ERD time, I think, much more wisely this year, and we're finding we're making some gains in that right now with this, with the professional help we've had to help teachers on Wednesday afternoons. That's it. ERD is early release days. So you might hear me speak of all of us, we have our own little acronyms. ERD is early release days, and we still have those on Wednesdays. So I have that time with them contractually that they give us for professional development. So the summertime, paid summertime work can be paid if it's needed and authorized through Dr. Young and myself through a grant. It doesn't have to go through the local. So I just wanted to explain, because that's a pretty good chunk that we removed, and I'm sure in the history for the school committee, it was important to put that in there. But I think now's the time that we feel comfortable we can peel that back, okay? Kind of really speaking to the school committee on that one.
Do I also understand then that much of the materials that would have been gleaned by keeping this in is now conducted by our instructional person? Is that
It's done
correct?
in-house.
Okay.
And then I think the next 2, 3, so all the way down to 174 are associated with that cut. So your next 4 line items down to 174 are all associated with the benefits of that cut of the pay that teachers would have had during the summer. So therefore, those benefits could go away
You see
along with
lines
that.
172, is that
Yeah, 171 is
0.08%.
172
Huh?
are stipend, wait, you skipped over.
Did I skip over something?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
171 and 172, those were stipends for like our PLS chair.
My fault, thank you.
Yeah, and the coordinators, the cohort facilitators, so the teachers that get those stipends.
Okay, so the 171 incorporates it's flat from
Yeah.
11.3 last year to 11.3 this year for
Right.
stipends for all the extra things we have going on that staff is involved in, other than what they're punching in hourly for as an ed tech or what they're doing professionally as a teacher, including clubs and activities and advisories and those kinds of things, stipended positions.
Not that one, right?
No, not that one.
Am I reading
These
this right? Oh,
stipends-
chair
Wrong.
referred certification?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is in
Yeah.
the teacher's contract.
Right, this is
Okay.
part of the teacher's contract,
So
yes.
explain it now, please.
It's all
So
yours,
it's,
Kim.
it's stipends for, the teachers have a chairperson that takes care of their certifications, and the support staff has a chairperson that makes sure the support staff meet all their certification, like they have to keep getting recertified,
Yeah.
okay? There's stipends for mentors, so when we have a new teacher come in, we have another teacher who's been here a long time who becomes their mentor, so they have a mentorship for 2 years. So it covers those, then we have our cohort facilitators, so there's a stipend for a teacher who covers like all the stipends for a, K2, 3, 5, 6, 8, or specials. So those are small individual stipends that go with that.
And
What?
the last one is PLC cohort facilitators.
Yes.
Can you clarify that?
So that's what I'm saying, the teachers have a certification coordinator, or PLC, that when a teacher is got to make sure that everything is covered for all their certifications, whether certain classes and things like that, so that way, because like this year, I think there's 8 or 9 different teachers that have to be recertified this year, and the same with support staff. And it's kind of hard right now too, because our certification with Maine DOE is kind of
It's up in the air.
up in the air. So they're trying to.
So
work
PLC
that.
in this case is not professional learning community.
Is your cohort leader?
Yeah, that's what he's
There's a
saying, the
cohort
last thing.
leader.
The last one Kevin asked is PLC. Is that,
Oh,
is
yes.
that Patty and
Yeah.
Mark and Cammy
Yes.
and
Yeah,
Sandra?
the 4,
Yeah, the answer is yes, Kevin. Those are our cohort leaders. That's where
Yes.
that stipend fits in.
Okay, so that's like a team leader stipend.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
And what do they do for that stipend?
So they basically will run the meetings for each of the cohorts. They make sure,
There's an
Get-
agenda.
Kevin, they've become part of a teacher leader management team for the school now. It's changed into, we meet twice a month with me, and for my meetings with them, it's about setting the course for professional growth for the teachers in their cohort. That's the work they have for me, and that has everything to do with professional practice and achievement. Beyond that, within their cohort time, other than ERDs, which I've honored for just professional practice, they're also in charge of every team meeting that they have during the week, whether that be an agenda-driven meeting that they're copying me on the agenda and I show up, or whether that be a more informal meeting where they're just ordering supplies and doing the nuts and bolts of a group of teachers in a given grade span.
This sounds great, though. Can I just put a flag later on at a future meeting I don't think we've seen, if we have, I've forgotten, the job descriptions for the PLC cohort facilitators, and the reason I bring that up is that when we created variety like the ERDs and the PLCs and those sorts of things, we had specific ideas in mind. So I think this sounds fantastic. So later on down the road, I think that'd be a good
Sure.
conversation for the committee.
Sounds good. And I think you'll find when we do have that conversation, it's probably more in alignment now than it has been perhaps in the past.
yeah.
That's
That-
my sense as well. So
And
that's great.
that's my hope too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
A question, the institutional coach, do you play a part in this also?
In,
In this 171
no,
The stipends, no.
no, I'm not stipended for that.
or recertification of members?
No.
Anything
No.
like that?
No,
Okay.
they're just teachers or support staff.
Okay.
Ron?
Yeah, can you just say, or tell me what PLC stands for?
Yeah, yes,
Thank
we
you.
can. That's one of our acronyms, Professional Learning Community. Thank
Thank
you. Thank you, appreciate that. So I just need to ask him a clarifying question, because I asked this before the meeting. Is 170 tied into 173 and 174?
Yes.
Thank you. So all I did was I skipped the stipend. That was my
Right, that's
mistake.
all you did, yeah.
So on 170, because it skips,
Well, no, I want to
right?
say 172, column G, the minus .08.
You asked about that.
Shouldn't it be 0?
No,
Huh?
it's,
Because the numbers are the same
it's
in
0,
D
yeah, it should
and
be
E.
Huh?
0, it's 0.
So just make
It-
sure
You know,
that's-
because it rounds, so we're talking about pennies.
Oh, this Excel spreadsheet?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
There's 0.08%
It
per
showed
Yeah.
up.
So it could be like 72 cents or whatever. But
that's it.
Right.
Because
So-
when it does a math of 8.17%, yeah.
So 173 and 174 are the benefits associated to the teacher days that we're not including in this budget.
Correct.
Okay, very good. Sorry about skipping the stipends, it was not good. On 175, that is tuition reimbursement for staff, for teachers to take courses at the university level. And that has a little bit of an increase over this year, to a 16% increase. And that covers teachers' professional growth plan in either a master's or postmaster's program.
So the-
Basically, more
That's
teachers are taking courses.
contractual.
That's contractual.
So this goes along with 171?
This is a new line item
No.
at 175. It's kind of new
It's
on
a
its
new
own.
one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, we need to figure out who's in a degree program that's been approved, that's going to be part of their educational plan here as an employee.
All right.
Once that's done, we need to kind of project how many courses people are taking. We have some newer teachers that are taking some courses for certification, and that's where your increase is coming.
But
And
we
the
also
increase,
made
yes.
sure that we capped the amount, so it just doesn't go on and on.
Support staff.
No, in the teacher's contract.
Yeah,
And
and the
do we
teachers
know-
too?
There's
To
no
what
cap.
extent
Not
that's
everyone
been
can
used
take
this year?
courses,
I know in the past we've
Yeah.
had a column where we have a sense of what the actual expenditures are for
What's
this
the
year.
year to
but I know we've added
actuals?
columns, so we've lost some space, but I think this one's helpful to
Okay.
know to what extent teachers are actually using
Yep.
that reimbursement, even though I know we have to hold it because it's contractual.
Sure, roughly the question, I'm not sure everybody heard, roughly the question is this, Kevin asked, how are we doing year-to-date
Yeah.
in this fiscal year with our tuition? Are we about where we thought we'd become?
Yeah, yeah,
answer's
I've
yes.
already got teachers that are already signed up for the spring
Right.
and summer, so, yeah, it's gonna be,
But-
I might have like 1 or 2 classes that didn't get taken that they said they were gonna take.
Well, the other thing too is they have to get a B or something. There's
They have
a
to get a B or
grade
higher, yeah.
that they have to get, otherwise we don't pay.
Is this a part of their income, though, reportable income?
No, why would we do
I
that?
don't
No, why
think
would it
so.
be
No,
that?
because it
It's a
goes to the
benefit.
school.
There's no,
Yeah, it's
nothing to do with
benefit.
that.
You know, they don't have the medical benefit as part of their salary.
What do you mean? Oh, well,
It's not
yeah.
given to them.
You wouldn't be.
It's
No.
paid to the university.
No, I understand that, but
Tuition
It's not on a W.
it's a
Tuition is
tuition
considered
reimbursement. I'm just
tuition
wondering whether
reimbursement.
that's considered
I
reportable
don't know.
income.
No.
Okay.
Maybe under the new tax law, I don't know.
Right, let's
But
talk
that's
about
from,
that.
Okay, so we're gonna move from tuition for teachers to tuition for ed techs, which is 176, and there is no change to 0% increase from year to year.
And how many techs do we have now?
And that's support staff, collective bargaining, what are we, about 22 to 25 people in that unit-ish? Support staff in total, not just ed techs, but
Yeah.
support staff.
20, yeah.
Or 20 roughly.
Yeah.
We can certainly, I mean, we look at each other and we kind of say within the margin, we can physically count. If
Yeah.
you gave us a
Nope.
few minutes, we could count
No,
them. We can
not
certainly
necessarily, just
supply
I
that
need
to
to
you.
have a
Sure.
ballpark
The way the
figure.
collective bargaining agreement goes with the support staff, it's capped at 6,000. It can never go higher than 6,000. So
It's
if you
capped by
have a
contract?
bunch, yeah,
Yes.
and if support staff start taking it and then they've used up all their money come January, then
It's
that's
gone.
it. The rest of it will be on,
Isn't that strange to have it capped like that if it's
it's negotiated that way.
negotiated that way?
It's kind of a first come, first served to take courses and whatnot. Same
Right.
with the teachers, there's only so many, I mean, they can't all join in.
No,
They
There's
have,
all that.
the
They-
max they can take is three credit,
Right.
3 courses. They
And that-
can't take any more than 3
That's
courses.
capped.
Yes.
Okay.
But I just
But
want to
if
say,
I recall correctly, during past negotiations for many years, it really wasn't being used at all, so I think that's why the number is as low as it is now.
You're talking about support staff.
For support staff.
For
correct.
support staff.
So item J, column J has the revisit. So, you know, that's a column where any of us can say, you know what, we need to check mark revisit. So like on that one, we might want to say how many ed techs are there. So I'd like that answer.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Oh.
So
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if it
so
is-
What
how
the
many people
number-
does
check
it
off revisit.
All right.
Yeah, I just want to clarify one thing on 76. It says tuition reimbursement ed tech. So Kim, unless if I see anything else, that's support staff.
Correct.
Okay.
But that's
Right, so
ed
if,
techs.
right, no, but
Right.
if my custodian wants to take a course, he or
Right.
she can too. See, supports, right?
As long as it's
Well,
relevant
as
to
long
his
as it's
job.
Correct.
relevant
They
to
have to
the
take a
job.
safety and sanitation course for $1,200 in South Portland.
To
They're
get a
gonna,
certificate. sure.
right, that's what I'm just trying to say.
Yeah.
It says ed techs, but it's not just ed techs.
It's
We have other
support
people that work here
staff,
that
yes.
aren't just ed techs, and they're in the same contractual.
Is this
partnership.
amount usually used up at the end of the fiscal year? It's not?
Not for the support staff.
Not with the
Most of
support-
it-
Even though you have approximately 20 people, that's less than $1,000
Well,
per
most
person.
of the ed techs are already ed tech threes. And I don't see too many of them actually going for a teaching degree. I have 3 still that are ed tech twos that are working on their ed tech threes, which require classes. I have 1 ed tech in particular who's working on more media type, specialist type classes.
But they don't need this for recertification of their positions?
Not necessarily.
No, that's, no,
Not at
that's
the ed
two
tech
different
level.
things, yeah.
You're on to something here too, because as a retired doctor, I could hire you to teach science if you'd taken some courses. Obviously, you know your science, you're a retired doctor. But there could be a case where you come in on a conditional contract, I hire you as a teacher, but you need to take 2 methods courses for the state to
Understand that.
get your certification.
I understand that.
That's why the teachers tend to have more and use it more than the ed techs do, because it's a different threshold for ed techs. Once you reach that ed tech 3 level, you're good to go just about everywhere, and there isn't really a growth model attached to that, unless if you want to someday be a teacher and move away from the ed teching, then you would need to take some courses and get your teaching certificate.
But I would assume there are a lot of people there would like to have some
You'd think so.
additional information.
Yeah.
You think?
Historically, that's not been the case.
They the teachers utilize these texts. I know they spend a great deal of time, especially with special ed children who are in the classroom with them and others.
There's,
I was very impressed with the amount of technician involvement and real devotion. I'm just surprised that such a small amount of money is allocated and used,
Or not used.
That's-
or not used.
I will also say it's not
Small
the-
amount used.
This professional development benefit that's in our budget, whether it be used or not, we offer the professional development through Francine Young and other ways. For instance, our PBIS, big piece that's coming up soon, it's next Wednesday.
The
ed techs and
behavioral.
the ed techs and support staff will be here for that, along with the teachers, because we need everybody in the building, and I'll be working with bus drivers at some point to understand how we work this program with kids to see the improvements that we've seen. So I don't want anybody to think that this $6,000 is the only professional
Right,
development
that's
available,
not.
because there's a
It's-
lot
that's only a
in-house.
personal-
It's part of it.
It's only a
Yeah.
personal type thing. I mean,
And
most of
if I
them,
recall correctly, over the past 5 years, we decreased this just because it wasn't being used. We weren't, there was significantly more in this in a few
Yes,
years
there
ago.
was.
there was,
If I
specifically
recall
with the
correctly.
teachers,
And
there was a
because it wasn't
lot
being
more.
used, we
And
stopped
we
budgeting as
dropped
much.
it down, yeah.
Yeah.
See, this is one thing that I think ought to be boosted.
Well,
Well, it's
But
like
only
she
if
said,
it's
if there's
serious.
only, if you, once you're in Ed Tech 3, there's not really,
You
But
can
that's a
become
problem.
teacher.
That's a problem. I mean, I'm sure there are things that they could learn
Yeah, but
to
there
become
is.
even more effective
They
than
have-
they
But
are
there is,
already.
but there's other ways for them
To
to
learn it.
learn
Right.
without having them to go to college.
Without having to have a
You know, 'cause-
tuition.
Do it in-house.
right,
Paid
We do
course.
it in-
in-house
Yeah.
teaching.
right, these are like, for like college credit courses.
Right.
Like, they're not for like a day certification class or like an online like refresher thing. These are like for college credit courses.
Right.
Where we have to acquire a certain amount of credits before you can move from an Ed Tech 1 to an Ed Tech 2 to an Ed Tech 3. It's not just saying like, I don't want to
okay.
learn anymore. It's just these are
3
specific
is the
classes.
highest, and then
Can't go no
there's
higher.
no 4.
There's no
There's no
four.
ed tech for.
No, you either want to do something or you don't. But now, Andy Brazier, the head custodian, they do a lot of things online.
Yeah.
Sanitation, all kinds, that's online,
OSHA.
which doesn't, OSHA stuff, which doesn't cost
Doesn't cost
anything
any-
either. They have in-house teaching.
Okay.
That's their choice.
Okay, I'll move on to 177, which is a cost center of staff development teachers. At last year to this year, it's flat at 0% increase to cover teachers attending professional development sessions. 179, travel and conference associated with that is $800 with the 0% increase travel expenses for that professional development.
These are like one-day seminars or something of that
Yeah,
sort.
2 days, yeah, a lot
Okay.
of 2 days, yeah.
179, supplies, flat at $1,000 to cover professional development supplies. When we hit 180, we're into a new area. It's the library media specialist, which is kind of this, physically, we're in this area as well as the room next door, to kind of give you an idea of the square footage of where this mostly happens. So we have the library media specialist salary. And that's
Excuse me.
a little bit of a bump moving from one year to the next. That particular one is because of changes in certifications.
Right,
This
she's gone
year,
from
that was, right?
Yeah, BA to a BA plus 15.
Very good. So there was a
So
slide.
From a
up
BA
there.
to a what?
BA 15, so they could, if they have
15
taken
credits.
more than 15 credits,
Hours.
I mean classes, to go to work towards a master's. Actually,
Yeah. Yeah, 15 is 5 classes. 3 credits per class.
yeah, no,
Yes.
but it's 15 classes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have to be more than halfway through to get that extra.
So this person is in addition to the old regular librarian?
The old regular.
They don't
It's
have
funny,
Boy,
it's, you
Jen
know
is
what?
gonna be
It's
upset with you.
coded
Yes.
differently now.
Yes,
It's coded as a,
Right.
The card catalog over there.
yeah,
Yeah.
Dewey Decimal System.
Yeah,
So it
that's
really,
fun.
with the advent of online learning, really the librarian is now a library media specialist. That's the certification from
Yeah.
the state now. It's no
Yeah.
longer, you can't just be a librarian.
Right, there's more to it.
There's a lot more to
Lot
it.
more
Being
to it.
a
Yeah.
critical reader of and information gatherer of the internet is a very big part of that. To understand what you're getting and what information it is and whether it's reasonable or not. And that's the world that our kids are growing up in, that some of us struggle with, but they don't struggle with it as much as we do because they've been born in the internet. They were brought into the world of the internet. The internet came to us, so it's just it's a little bit different.
I guess my question is, why is this salary difference so large in comparison with, let's say, the social worker or the school nurse? We're talking $20,000
mean,
or
as far as
$30,000 a
Years of
year
service.
It's years
difference.
of
Is that all it is? Is years of
Yes.
service? This is a new
Yeah.
person?
No.
And the-
No.
No, it's not,
Not-
someone
she's-
who's been here for 10, 15 years.
But she was in
She's not a
tech
new
for many
person.
of those
Yeah.
years.
She's completed many
Very
courses
Very
in the
low on the
past 2
teacher
years.
scale. She was
I'm
in
sorry?
tech.
She completed many courses in the past 2 years to get her bachelor's and moving on to her
Right.
Oh, I
master's
see.
now.
Okay, so,
And
Right.
been
So,
hammering out
so
a
she's
lot of
going,
courses.
you're basically
Went from an ed
skipping
tech to
over
a-
into different
okay,
columns.
okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
okay. So she's been very aggressive in
She's been
service.
very,
She's
she's probably our most aggressive teacher.
Definitely.
There is a
Good.
master's
Okay.
to it.
Definitely done a good job with that. So 184 and 185, before I turn the page, are those expenses that we talked about at the front end of the meeting. And I bet 186 is. Nope, 186 is something different. So I will say that 184 and 185 are the fixed costs we talked about as part of employment. As we turn to 186,
John, I have a question about 181.
yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. I was surprised we skipped over that, yeah.
Because this is the substitutes, and I wonder if this is something to revisit later. Because I know, looking at this one, we're basically budgeting as if the library media specialist, the staff person, will use all sick days. And I think that's the practice we're using for other ones. I wonder if it's necessary to budget for, under the assumption that somebody will use all sick days, where it's usually probably a fraction of that.
It's
So we talked
not,
to
it's
that.
still
So I'm
at a
just wondering
percentage,
about
it's
budgeting
just,
practice.
Understood.
it's not at 100%. It's not like she's missed it all, because if you look, it's at a 75. Remember how we do it with everybody else? We say 20 sick days for the person at an average rate of $75 because because the dollar
Substitute.
increase that came with minimum wage this year, we had to bump up our sub rate by $5. Okay?
Gotcha, so this is, it's not 100%, it's 70, so this is assuming the person will use 15 days.
Right. And this, in Article 6, This is the only employee that would actually have a substitute. The other positions, usually other administrators cover in-house because you can't get a substitute to be a guidance
Gotcha.
counselor, you know? But in the past, way back when we had a librarian and an ed tech in the library, if the librarian or the ed tech was out, they would cover for each other, so they didn't need a sub in the library. But
But we
because
don't
we're
have that
down,
capacity now.
We don't
we
have
don't
anybody.
have that now. So when the librarian is out, I need to have a subline in Article 6
No,
to
that
be able
makes
to
sense.
cover the subbing, so.
Great, thank you.
Thank you,
Yep.
Kevin. So we're on page 4 of 5 at the top with 186. That's staff development for the library.
Yep.
Looks like we have a reduction of just over 55%. And if you ask, you know, in particular, when we go from 450 to 200, Kim works with each individual area and what people believe they need for professional development, and we line that up with our professional development goals of the school. And in this case, there's just less needed in this particular cost center this year.
Yeah, that conference, the Reading Roundup conference is not that expensive, and that's really the only conferences she wants to go to, because that's the only one that pertains really to the library.
187.
That's the software for Follett, which, Mike, you could probably explain more.
Yeah, that's the card catalog system, the online system which allows teachers to find books, students as well to find books online at any time. The bump is related to the reading program we use, FNP, Fontes and Pinnell. Our card catalog system will actually automatically align our books to the Fontes and Pinnell reading program. So if a teacher is looking for a book within A and B reading levels, they can filter that out, find the books, and assign them for the students.
Very good.
That's the bump.
All right. 188 is supplies, same cost center. It's flat at 0 at $750. Books and periodicals for the library, flat as well at $4,000.
Are these all paper?
Some are ebooks.
I'd like to check that one for revisiting.
Okay, let's mark that.
Which one is that?
189, books and periodicals at 4,000, books for the library collection, revisit.
You said
My rationale is I'll do that for all, as I've done before, for materials that are in the hands of students. So I find like it's those are, for me, some of the most precious materials because they're actually in the hands of kids. So the big question I have is 4,000 enough?
Okay. 190 is equipment, furniture and other equipment for the library. That's flat at $150, 0%. That kind of rounds up the media specialist area, and we are on our last area, which is IT, information technology. Starts with 191. The salary of the IT director at a 2.76 increase. And now let me make sure I get these right as I go down. It looks like 192 and 193 are going to be attached to those. That would be benefits and insurance. And then we're at 194, which changes things. That's repair and maintenance. And that'll be flat at $5,000 for repairs and services for laptops and large computer technology items. Repairs and maintenance shows up again for purchase of MLTI, 20 machines at 50 each with a increase. Mike, I'm gonna have you talk about that one.
I don't know if that number's right though.
Yeah, I was just looking at that.
It's we bought into the MLTI program years ago, and at the end of their life cycle, they allow us to buy the devices back, so we don't have to go and invest in new equipment. These are the teacher devices we currently have in all the teachers' hands, kindergarten through 5th grade, as well as some support staff. So we either purchase these devices back from MLTI at $50 each, or we have to go out and supply them new equipment at like $900. So I thought this would be the most fiscal approach. I believe there are 32 devices to be purchased or bought out.
So do we want to put down a revisit, or do you just want to change the math on that one? What's your preference, Kim?
20 to 32?
Yeah, and I still think it's $1,600 bottom line.
Why don't we do 195 for clarification for the next meeting?
Alright.
It's probably really not a revisit, because I think in the spirit, it's the right thing to do. I
I
just think our
certainly-
numbers aren't right.
I certainly would accept
Okay.
the way it is.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think the 1,600's right, I think the narrative just might be wrong.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we'll get back to you at the next meeting on that one. Okay, Mike, we're into photocopier service with 100% reduction of $4,500. Do you want to talk at all about 100% reduction in the budget?
That was our annual contract, our annual lease on the copiers that we had in the teachers' rooms. That lease is up, so we don't owe any money on the copier lease.
Okay,
So that was a lease, so were you going to lease a new piece of equipment in the future?
In the future, not this year.
Not in this budget?
No, not this
Okay.
year, in the future. I had to invest in other places.
So that wasn't a lease purchase?
It was a lease purchase, a buyer, correct, yes.
so 197, we're on the last page, software maintenance agreement. And this is a line item that went down
Backwards.
$12,000 for 41%. Mike, that's significant enough, I guess, to throw a few words at.
Please,
Where am I?
You're on 197.
197,
Oh.
Quite a savings on that line.
page 5 of 5.
Yes, I think this was a redistribution of software.
Okay.
Which program was it?
Mine.
It was hers.
Are we gonna just see it somewhere else?
We're gonna see it in
Inter
Article 7.
finance.
So we're gonna see, so it's a shift of resources, so it's really not overall, it's not gonna make that much difference?
No.
So for here, it looks like a big difference, but we're gonna see the increase somewhere?
Yeah.
I think it's important to note that, because when we see that increase, we can say, oh, yes, we saw that back a couple couple
Basically,
of Tuesdays ago, yeah.
right, it's the Blackboard software that we
You
use
moved
for
it?
all the accounting.
Your financial?
Yeah,
Okay,
financial
very good.
software.
Yeah,
Okay,
So you took it out of support staff to put it into
central office.
central
yeah,
office.
central office.
So it'll
Yeah.
show there when we go to
Black,
central
yeah.
office. Okay, very good.
To also clarify that we redistributed some resources at our technology, but they aren't technology resources I use or are utilized specifically for technology. Like the NWAA assessments are distributed school-wide.
They're in Article 2.
Right. The copier contract services,
Or this way they are.
they're
Article 2.
distributed throughout the school as well. So
Okay.
it's not
Okay.
making my accounts in Article 6 look,
So huge.
yes.
Well, you're
Alright.
putting it where it should be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Where the resources are being
Right.
used, correct.
So our 198 is the cell phone, IT cell phone at $75 a month, so we can get a hold of Mike whenever we want, which we use a lot with IT. No reason not to get that text back to me at 3 in the morning, right, Mike?
Luckily, it's only 4.
It isn't usually with school, it's about 4:30 in the morning, right? Supplies, 199, flat at $3,000. To support our technology, line number 200, technology-related supplies. The Wi-Fi network and the charging cases, I do want to thank Mike. There were some other numbers that never made it to this budget that we talked about. And it's probably important, I didn't start, before you even see this, there's a lot of trying to figure things out article by article. And I think we made some good decisions, although this here shows an increase overall, it's less of an increase than our original conversation. I want to thank Mike for being creative and understanding the needs of the school and understanding the needs of the students at the same time and what we can offer. So do you want to talk, this is more tech talk than it is for me to talk about, Mike.
Sure. Since the dawn of MLTI in 2001, they supplied us with Wi-Fi, the wireless access points that we connect to on our network. But the state and the MLTI program are phasing that out. They're taking that away next year, so we'll have to come up with our own solution. So I've gone out for requests for purchase, and hopefully this number will be subsidized by the FCC E-rate process. where the FCC will cut us a check for the equipment and installation fees. So I'll be going through that process at the end of this year to hopefully get reimbursed based on the installation. And the Chromebooks are related to the incoming pre-K to kindergarten, because every kindergarten through 5th grader has a device. So the numbers are offset a little bit, so I'm purchasing a few more devices for the greater number, and also have a couple extra for just in case breakage.
How do we look in terms of damage to these things that we give to the students in terms of coming back compared to other schools? Are we better, worse, same?
I would
Do you
say
have any data on that?
there is, but it's
I'm
scattered. The
Scattered.
data is not.
Okay.
I've been communicating with other districts, and they've been communicating. Our breakage is minute. Most breakages are like cracked screens or destroyed device completely. Mine are like keys popping off.
So minor.
Yes. Yes. And the ones that are damaged are usually ones that are like 5 years old, so they're getting phased out anyway. So it's minute.
But the narrative, it says Chromebooks 2,500, charging cases 2,500. Is that, does that make sense?
Oh, the charging cases to
Is there supposed to be amount, like like there's a few Chromebooks and then an amount, or what?
about 10 Chromebooks, and then 2 charging cases per classroom.
So those are like big towers on wheels.
They're
that
not.
they all
No,
get
that's
stored
no.
in?
They're little wall-mounted
Wall-mounted.
metal towers. To kind of duct tape this a solution, I've been using paper towers that you slide paper in with and it's not the safest thing. It's kind of
Not made for technology.
no,
Made for paper.
it's made for paper.
Mike's improvised long enough, and
Yeah.
you know, Dr. Williams asked, "What's your break rate?" You know, well, it's going to be higher if we continue to put them in paper cases. So it's part of the solution right there.
So these are metal lock boxes designed for charging
Right, thank
devices.
Good.
So 201, folks, the last one is a $50 increase in your professional dues and fees. It looks like something went up. Whatever, MSLN Dues Network of Maine. That must be a technology organization.
That's our internet connection.
Okay, dues and fees. Oh, so it's a fee.
It's
Okay,
a fee to
very
the
good.
internet connection. Has gone up because our numbers have gone up.
Excellent.
So I have a question now.
Yes, sir.
As far as this article is concerned, do you have it sort of added up as to
front page.
what sort of a
Yeah.
increase, decrease,
Yeah,
or
that's your front
stability of
page.
the?
Right on the,
And it should probably, Kim, in the future, my suggestion is to become the last page, not the front page.
Right.
I went
Oh,
right
here it
over
is.
it because I
see
didn't
it.
want to.
I see it.
Yeah. It's a great last page to our work, to be honest with you.
So it's overall a decrease.
Overall, a decrease in Article 6.
In Article 6.
Correct.
Okay.
We'll look for the increases.
But that is Article 6, but we know that some of these things that were in Article 6 have now been distributed to where they're used.
Some, and some such as the professional development for 20,000 didn't get redistributed, they were just got.
Okay.
Depends on the article.
Okay.
The item, excuse me.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay?
Yep.
I would ask if you haven't turned back your stride statement, if you would, that would be wonderful. And I'm gonna let the vice chair call the meeting if there are no further questions or comments.
do we have any old? Yes. Go ahead.
No, you ought to keep
Yep.
that. You can keep it.
194, repairs and maintenance is $5,000. What happens if you don't use the $5,000?
Any line, at the end of the year, whatever is not used, it goes into undesignated funds. Okay, so it kind of goes back into undesignated funds. And then when we actually start doing the revenue part of the budget, if we've had quite a bit go into undesignated funds, it is used to offset the following year's budget. So like last year, we used $250,000 from undesignated because of decreased costs in special education, and that was used to offset this year's budget. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we could also maybe have to use money, because we've gotten maybe to 10 high school students, which we didn't budget for. So then we need to find money to find tuition money.
We're gonna see
And
that.
it
So
might
you can
be-
take that money to do that, what you're just
You
saying?
might have to do
You
that.
take a special vote, but yeah.
You might have to, you
Say that
know.
again?
It's gonna be in
Let's ask Kim.
another article.
This is all gonna be
Wait,
things we will talk about in the future,
Right,
but I
it'll
don't.
be in another
But
article.
I think the reality though is, what was your follow-up question? Just so we're clear, we don't just end with a question.
I asked,
Sure.
she was saying that we could,
Right, instead of just moving it forward to offset the budget for next year, we might have to have money from some other line items and move it into, you know, the tuition for high schoolers if we don't have enough money there. Or it could, you know, it could
so
be,
you have some discretion on where this money goes then?
well, we have to vote on it.
Yeah.
There's discretion within the article itself, within Article 6.
All right.
Their
But
undesignated
article,
fund
really.
doesn't necessarily follow the town's undesignated fund.
Okay. I'd recommend we not go down that
I
path.
don't
Please,
wanna
not
go
tonight.
right now,
No.
but trust me, we
Yeah,
will.
well, right, yeah.
Okay.
Do we have any old business? That's on the agenda.
No.
No old things, okay. Adjournment.
I'll
We
make
have
a
a motion to
motion.
adjourn.
I'll second.
At 7, whatever, 18.
7:18.
16, 18.
Kevin's
She
still with us?
seconded it, so.
Seven.
Yeah, second.
And vote.
Right,
I see a finger up over here.
okay.
Kevin's
Stay
Looks
there.
like four.
Thumb.
Aye.
Yeah,
four,
he's
yep,
up.
Okay, yep.
You got it.
Okay, the meeting is
Okay,
adjourned.
drive safe, folks. Thank you for coming tonight.
Yeah.